Hello and welcome to another BS Buster video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how the BS Buster works with money. One of the questions that I get most often over on my TikTok channel is how the BS Buster can solve your money problems. So we're going to get into it. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the BS Buster, it is a tool that I use to solve my life's problems in a very basic understanding. So how it works is that you focus in on a problem, you get into the feelings, the vibrations, the frequency of the problem, and then you sit with them and ask yourself 5 questions which have been designed to lead you into a process of self-inquiry. The process of self-inquiry that you follow will allow you to detach from the story that you've attached to the problem and thus remove the problem from your life. Sounds really simple, right? So when I tell people about the BS Buster, and even if they try it on other areas of their life, such as relationships or health goals, they often struggle to understand how it can work with money. And one of the most common questions that I get is, how is the BS Buster going to make my debts go away? It would be great if the BS Buster would just pay your debts off for you, but that's not how it works. So I'm going to go through today exactly how it does work and how it gets rid of your money problems without actually paying off your debts. So when we have a problem, think about how a problem comes up. Let's say we have, let's keep it around money. So let's say we have a money problem. So I may be going through my day. I'm going to use a real life example that happened to me recently. It was a Monday. I was going through my day and I was on my way to the gym. And as I was stepping out of the car to go to the gym, I decided to check my email. Up until this point in the day, I'd been perfectly happy. It was just a regular Monday. Everything was fine as far as I knew. I checked my email and I saw there that the bank was going to be taking a large amount of money out of my account. It was something to do with a previous refund. The money had kind of bounced between me and the company a couple of times, and the company was fighting this refund and they wanted to take the money back. The bank had already refunded me the money, but the email was saying that the company is requesting the money back because they don't believe a refund was due. As soon as I got that email, you can imagine the thoughts that started going through my head. I don't have the money anymore. It's not in my bank. It was a large amount of money. It was £6,700. So I was just like, I don't have that money. Where am I going to get that money from? I have rent due. I have bills due. What am I going to do? I started feeling like my heart started racing. I started to feel constrictions in my chest. I started to get a headache. My husband was with me, so I told him about the email. He started reacting as well, having, violent reactions to this huge amount of money that was being threatened to be taken away from us. It could be similar if you get a large unexpected bill, for example, or if you get into a car accident or you have a health problem that your insurance won't cover and you get a large bill. Those feelings that come up for you are all consuming, and I'm sure many of you know that feeling can stick with you. The scenario can play over and over and over again in your head, causing you anxiety and loss of sleep, and ultimately lead to depression and all kinds of medical problems. So the goal of the Bullshit Buster is to stop that in its tracks, to stop the story from attaching itself to the negative connotations that it otherwise would, which lead to the stress and anxiety. So the first thought that came into my head, as I said, is, I don't have that money. Where's that money going to come from? What the hell am I going to do? Okay. And I was at the gym. So I was arriving at the gym. I was with my husband. So, I didn't want to stop and do the BS Buster on myself right there, because you can take a little time with it. And this was a big one. It was a lot of money. So I went through my gym workout with him first, and these feelings were persisting. I was allowing myself to to feel the feelings to a certain extent, but also I was at the gym, so it wasn't really practical for me to sit with myself and, you know, burst into tears, which is what I wanted to do. So I worked out, and then I went home, and then when I had a moment of quiet time at home, I sat down by myself and I got myself back into the frame of mind I had been in when I first received the email, which was pretty easy to do. I just read the email again. And all the feelings came back up. Oh my God, panic, what am I gonna do? How could this have happened? Why is this happening to me? And I allowed myself to sit with those feelings, let them come up, let my palms start sweating, let my head start hurting, and sit with it until eventually the feelings weren't holding quite so much power over me anymore, and I felt able to do the BS Buster on myself. So I sat with myself and I went through the process of asking the 5 questions. Through asking myself the 5 questions, I went on a journey. So with my problem being, if I put it into the structure that is required for the BS Buster, which is I am emotion with personal situation because. So I went through saying I am terrified with the thought of having to repay this bill because I don't have the money. And the first question when I asked myself, does this story exist in reality? I was able to see that the story did exist. And the purpose of this first question, does this story exist in reality, is for you to test each part of the story to make sure that it's really solidly true. This story that I'm terrified with having to repay this bill because I don't have any money, is each part of that story true? And you really need to do this with complete openness and honesty. It can be difficult because you may have to accept responsibility for some things that you don't want to see are your responsibility. But that's the point of the question, is to get you to look inside and accept responsibility for the creation of this story. So does this story exist in reality? Well, I am terrified. I'm sitting here and I can feel it. I can feel the feelings of terror within my body. And it is because of, you know, the email and the fact that I may have to repay this money. That is why I'm terrified. It's true. It's in reality. It's in my reality. I'm suffering through this. Because I have no money. This last part of the problem, I can find holes in it, right? Because I have no money. Well, do I have no money? No, I have a little bit of money in an account here. I have a little bit of money in an account here. I also have retirement savings. I also have a property that pays rental income every month. So when I say I have no money, it's not true. It's in my reality that I'm scared because I think I have no money, but actually I do have money. And it's not just about what's in my bank account, of course. I have access to money from other forms. I can earn money, for example. So with the first question, I'm starting to see that the story that I'm telling myself may have holes in it. It may not be 100% true. There may be other possibilities. And the second question is designed to dig even deeper into that. Does the story's existence or not in reality make it the truth? So even if we are able to see from the first question that the story does really truly exist in our reality, does that make it the truth? Now there's a subtle difference here between what is our reality and what is truth. So on the one hand, our reality is what we see to be true, right? What we see. So for example, I may see a cup or this cupboard behind me and say that it's green. Somebody else may see this and say that it's blue. Perhaps they're colourblind, perhaps I'm colourblind, perhaps it's just the lighting. But we can have different realities. I can live in a reality where this cupboard is green, and somebody else can live in a reality where this cupboard is blue. So even if the story is true in our reality, is it true? What is true? Is this cupboard green or is it blue? Who decides? So if we look deeper into my statement and reflect on whether or not it's true, well, we know that my statement that I have no money is not 100% true. I don't have no money. I have some money and I have access to money. So it's not true. The story is not true. The story that I'm carrying around in my head about being terrified, about having no money, it's not true. It's just a story that I tell myself. The third question is, did you create this story? So you can see that this question is designed to help you take responsibility for having created the story. Yes, I am terrified. And yes, it is because of this situation where I might have to repay the bill. But having no money, that's not that true. It's a little bit true. It's not entirely true. Did I create this story? Well, I created the part about having no money. I created the part about being terrified as well. So if we have a look at this, I had feelings come up inside of me when I read the email, right? Feelings that I couldn't control. The heart palpitations, the restriction in my chest, the sweaty palms, the feelings inside of me of terror. I labelled those feelings. It was me that said that feeling was terror. Somebody else might have a different definition of terror. Somebody else, a millionaire for example, may open the same email that I got and have a very different reaction to it. Or some people may be terrified of heights, for example. Other people may be a little bit afraid of heights. They could both go to the top of the same bridge, look down over the edge into the water crashing below and say they were terrified. There would be different levels of terror. People that come from countries, war-torn countries, that have suffered terror every day in their lives, might come to a Western country and hear somebody say they're terrified of pigeons and laugh in their face. Terrified of pigeons? How can pigeons be terrifying when you've come from a war-torn country? So we put this word terror onto our feelings with an assumption of what it means. We've related that assumption of what the word terror means to our past experiences. And therefore, even the part of the statement that you're terrified is not entirely true. It was created by yourself. It was created by your own interpretation of the word terror. So question 3 really allows you the opportunity to take responsibility for the story that you've created around the situation that actually happened. This is the situation here. It's an email. It's an email in my inbox. And all of this space around the situation is the stories and associations that I have made between the situation and what might happen in the future, based on my past experiences. The fourth question allows you the opportunity to hone in on how awful this thought makes you feel. When you put yourself in the story, how do you feel? So go back to those feelings. Take yourself back to when you first opened the email and feel those awful, restrictive, terrifying feelings. How do you feel? How do you feel when you put yourself in that story? Awful, right? It's a problem. This is an area of your life that's not working. I don't have the money. I'm terrified. I have this huge bill. I'm restricted. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. I'm lost. I'm afraid. How do I feel when I put myself in the story? Awful, terrified, afraid. And once we realize how bad that story is for us, a story entirely of our own creation, the fifth question is designed to free you from the story. If the story didn't exist, what possibilities could you create for yourself? So this is going to involve a switch of mind into the positive realm. We know how bad the story makes us feel. We can feel it. But what about if the story wasn't there? What about if I opened the email and I thought to myself instead, oh look, the company wants their money back. How funny. They don't deserve to have their money back. I'm going to put together my case, send an email back to the bank, and I'll get to keep the money, which is the plan I eventually ended up on. Another possibility could be, what about if I open the email, I decided to feel my feelings of terror, let them go, do the BS Buster on myself, and then set to work planning on how I can make that money in case they do want it back. Because if I can make that money and have it there available, the company takes it back, it's no problem. The company doesn't take it back, I've got an extra £6,700 to spend. Another possibility could be, after opening the email, working out at the gym. I was at the gym, right? So I could work through my frustration, and then I could get home and have an absolute breakdown, turn to my husband in utter despair, and he could say to me, don't worry, I've thought of a plan. I know how to get the money. You know, somebody could come to my rescue. I could leave the gym, open my email, see another email below it. Congratulations on your win. You just won £6,700 on the lottery. There are infinite possibilities of what this one situation could mean. I chose to attach the meaning that I was terrified and I had no money and I should be really afraid. That was the meaning I attached to the opening of this email. But there were so many other possibilities. Question 5 allows you to explore those possibilities. And in the exploring of other possibilities, more positive possibilities, you can land on one that you prefer. You can find a story that you prefer, which was what I did. So my original story was, I am terrified with having to repay this money because I have no money. And the possibility that I decided to create for myself through the BS Buster process was, the bank is requesting I send the money back to the company. The company is out of order, out of line. They don't deserve to have the money back. And this is an opportunity for me to put together my case and stand up against this company. One little guy standing up against a big company, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to be successful. It's a challenge. And I was able to move powerfully forward with that story in my head. And I wrote the most kick-ass 15-page document detailing exactly why that refund should stay with me. And if I'd allowed myself to stay in the other frame of mind where I was just terrified and afraid, I may not have even thought to do that. I may have just cried and called my mum and, complained to her, complained to my husband, and lost sleep and let it take over my life without really coming up with a plan, because I'm so emotionally overwhelmed by the feelings that came up when I opened the email. But I was able to feel through the feelings and then remind myself that this is a story that I created, and move into a new possibility where I'm in control, where I'm not being dictated to by my past experiences, and where I'm able to see this not as a problem, but as a challenge. So I hope that helps you see how the BS Buster disappears your money problems without paying off your debts. Really hope that helped you guys. You can access the BS Buster through the link, I'll post it down below. Thanks for watching.